Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear student, welcome once again. It is for your kind information that we are talking about a very critical issue in Pakistan that is directly related to the public administration, and all the public servant in one way or the other are indulging this problem. And I think you have guessed that what is this problem? Simply this is the problem of the corruption. In the previous lecture we would have a detailed discussion about this, and I would like to just give you a snapshot of the previous discussion. If you remember, the corruption is a very comprehensive term, and it includes moral, social, all kinds of corruption. But it is necessary to note that most of the people are just concerned about this money corruption, that is exchange of money for any of the reward, unlegal or illegal reward. However, the moral corruption is equally important for this. We went through the different causes, and we also talked about that what are the methods that we can use to address this issue. After this, we talked about some of the political maladies of Pakistan, that on political level we can see that this nation, that is the Pakistani nation, seems a bit different from the other nations, even from the developing countries. No doubt that developing countries has very similar characteristic over time, yet in some areas we will see that we are specific and we have no other competitor in this ground. We just looked at that this nation is ununited, this nation is intolerant. This applies to all communities, societies, even to the educated people. They show some kind of the intolerance during different behaviors. So our discussion is going on, and let's give you another picture that is linked with the previous lecture. And here is the picture, and what this says, that the army throughout this lecture I overemphasized, and I can guess that I over criticized the army. No doubt it is just based on the theory, and we have a rare example that the army performed somewhere on this planet in a positive way. Although there are some of the rare cases, but in totality and comprehensively, we can say that it is not the job of army to govern the people. The army should be restricted only for the purpose for which they are hired, and it is their responsibility to keep law and order in the country. If the government asks them, call them for the help of the civil government, and to protect the boundaries of the country, they are the patrolling officers, and they should be a critical eye on the boundaries of the country. So if we look at this I think a well-known person and very good quotation here. The army appears unable to govern Pakistan itself. If we see the history, 33 years go to the army rule, and in these 33 years, if we do the pluses and the minuses, we come to know that the army could not deliver. Despite army is more criticized because army have some unique powers that a political person or the political prime minister doesn't have. Why this is? Because the army comes with the mighty powers, and all they are dominant on all the institution, and the bureaucracy just surrender before them. There is no to any of the order that is given by the dictator or the army ruler. Otherwise, we can say that every word of the ruler becomes a rule of the law or the law. But will not it is not govern Pakistan itself, but will not allow anyone else the opportunity to do so. either. This is the wording of the Stephen Cohen in his book of The Idea of Pakistan. This is about neither I will play nor I will let you play. The same army has done with Pakistan. They neither allowed the political masters to show their abilities, and at the same time when they were in that role directly, they could not perform. Here, what are the issues? Recurring seizures of state powers. The military is Pakistan's powerful institute. Still we believe, and this is the powerful institution, and claims a role as the nation's almighty guardian. They think that they are the only guardian of the nation. The other people they criticize that they are not the guardian. Benazir Bhutto was called a threat for the Pakistan. However, she was elected by the Pakistani population. It is a misconception on the part of the army that they think that they are only the patriot. The other peoples are not loyal. However, this is a totally misperception. I, you, and every Pakistani is loyal to Pakistan. He should be loyal to Pakistan. And again, I would like to say that the governing of the country is not the it is not the play of the army or army. It is the criteria, or it is the discretion of the political masters. It harbors an mistrust for politicians and has repeatedly seized control of the state over official. This misperception has led the army to convince themselves that they are the only loyal people to Pakistan. So that's why they time and again seize power by putting the political master in the background. Monopolization of state and bureaucratic affairs. This is the other reason for our political maladies. These are our political maladies. Military officials constitute an overwhelming majority of position in civil sector. Thanks to Ziaul Haq, that I am talking it critically saying thanks to Ziaul Haq, that he created a law, he passed a legislation that gives army personnel precedence over civilians in consideration for government post. In Zia-era, if you look at from 1982 onwards, you will see that the many army officers were transferred, or they were given the charge of the civil servants. So it was a huge disheartenness for the civil bureaucracy. However, the Zia have some unique power. The military is also in ownership of numerous private enterprises. If you are interested that what the army is doing in Pakistan, no doubt the army have some of the pluses. It always helps the nation when the nation is in crisis, particularly the floods and so other. But at the same time, it has negatives. It never allowed any of the political government to stabilize. In the Ashfaq Parvez Kiani can be said that he has some support for the democracy. If you want to see that what are the business of the army, you will have. I would like to recommend you the book from Dr. Aisha Sadiqa, The Military and Corporate. You will see that what an interesting descriptions and very sophisticated description of the army's role, and she clearly states that it should be the outside the jurisdiction of the army. Ineptitude or incompetence of the political parties. This is our also political problem. If you look at the picture, if you see here that when the President Musharraf failed to fulfill his problem, you can see that there is the riots and there are the mobs. You can see easily from this picture. These mobs and riots cause too much to the country. Not only economically, they also it is a cause to the country politically, socially, demographically, to all kinds. It is a cause to the country. If we look at it, aside from PP, ethno-nationalism divides the party. No doubt that the PP has this element has also crept down into PP, yet it was believed that the Pakistan People's Party is a party of the federation. It has its representation in all the provinces. However, the other parties are not capable of this. When conflict arises within party breaks up instead of resolving issues. We can see that there have been many Muslim leagues over the years. However, there have been some People's Party, the parliamentarian, that is the now People's Party, and the other, that is the Patriot, that was 10 or 12% that left the party. However, the major proportion of the parties that separated from their original parties, they are belong to the Pakistan Muslim League. So when there is conflict, it should be that the conflict should be resolved, but what happens? The party breaks. This is, you can say, the weakness of the parties within the system. Chronic history of military leader versus untapping term potential of civilian leader. So there is, both can be criticized for this, that the army for its intervention and the political masters for their inefficiency to work. Ethnonationalism, if you see at the right, the figure is, you can see that there are the demonstration that clearly says that this nation is divided into Punjabis, Pashtuns, Balochis and the Sindhis. If you see, given their higher accessibility to education in comparison to other ethno-linguist group, no doubt that the Punjab has a superior edge and upper hand as compared to the all three provinces. It is due to its, you can say, the power in the bureaucracy and the positions and the economic conditions of the Punjabi people overall are well from the other provinces, and the indicator shows that these people, the peoples of Punjab, are better or you can say the well off from the other provinces. And it is further interesting to note that even within the province, the eastern and the northern part of the province is more well off as compared to its southern part. So these are some of the issues the political master should have addressed, because the Pakistan consists of the whole people. Every person living in any part of the Pakistan, he is a Pakistani and he has the equal rights. So there should be no discrimination when dealing with the citizen. It should be on equal basis. And if we come to, it is not just confined to towards the Punjabis. If we come on the, if we see the Pashtun separatism, Pashtun in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa complain of underrepresented in government. As I said, that the Punjabi bureaucracy has a dominant share in the bureaucracy. No doubt that the Punjab is the most populous province of Pakistan, yet its relative share is much higher as compared to its population. So the Pakhtunkhwa people have two, Pakhtuns have two grievances. First, they say that they are underrepresented. It means they are not giving as much representation in the bureaucracy as their right exists. On the other hand, they also think that the the Islamic ideology is not being implemented in its true letter and spirit. And if we look at the Baloch insurgency, Balochistan is Pakistan's most resource-rich province. It is now above board. Many resources exist there, and if we exploit these resources optimally, being students of economics or being students of political science, I do believe that these resources can change the destination or the fate of the nation significantly, and we have to see the light of that day when we are independent in our decisions and we exploit our resources with our own human capital. That's in this way we will be getting the maximum benefit from this. However, being the richest province of this, containing large reserve, there is insurgency. There are the problem of missing person. There are the mutated bodies, dead bodies are there. So this is the problem of Balochistan. In other words, I can say the Balochistan is burning. Those people's grievance should be addressed. It is a well time to address them. And if unfortunately, and again unfortunately, if we are unable to address their issue, we may face the same incidents that happened in 1971 in the shape of the fall of Dhaka. Foreign policy. Foreign policy is has become a most powerful instrument for the development of any of the country, because now this world is a global village and we can't survive without the cooperation of the other. Now there is a time of cooperation. The battles, the conflicts, these are now the stories of the past. No doubt that Pakistan and India are still at the dagger's dawn, yet they have recognized that in this way the coexistence is difficult, and both the countries are getting lost from these conflicts and tussles, and the only way to improve the well-being of the people is to just cooperate. And we will see in near future that as it is the need of the time, we will see that these countries will become very closer to each other. The trade volume will increase significantly, and the people residing on the both sides of the line of control, they get benefit from it. The continued conflict in Kashmir has radically politicized many Pakistani youth and deepening the already great social divide between Pakistan and India. No doubt that this nation is almost similar in many of its characteristics. They remained together more than 1,000 years, and they have a similar socio-cultural characteristic. But at the same time, the dispute of Kashmir has divided these nations. This is the bone of contention, and unless and until this problem is not solved, we can't say that these countries could come closer. No doubt there is one theory like the Chinese that we should freeze this issue and we should negotiate on the other, but it is the burning point. You can say this is the bridge that should be first solved. If the bridge is not strengthened, we can't say that we can cross the border for the negotiation and the cooperation. US, if we look at this anti-India protest in Azad Kashmir, it is just one clip of this, and you can see the number of people there, that whenever there is some of the atrocity across the line of control between the occupied Kashmir and the independent Kashmir, because these are just two separated nations, the relatives lives on both sides of the line of control. For their sympathy, the people get together and they protest. If we look at the right side, there is another aspects of the foreign policy. US aid to Pakistan has fluctuated in last couple of decades. No doubt that the United States has a significant influence on our foreign policy. We can't go against any of the will of the United States, as we are getting huge aids over the years. If we see our history, the United States is the leading aid provider to Pakistan in all the fields. So the question of Pakistan's sovereignty and US intervention, we always say that we should be independent in decision making. True, but the ground realities are different. When we are not sustainable, our economy is not standing on its own feet, how we can say that we will be independent? Just by making claims and just making protest, it doesn't matter that it will lead us towards the independent. For this, we have to work day and night and burn the midnight oil. We have to work 7 days a week. That we will be able to. We should get rid of all the debt that is now increasing, and all the each person of Pakistan or each Pakistani is almost debited up to 96,000. It means when a new child borns, we give him the gift of 1 lakh, almost 1 lakh rupee, that he has to pay to the internal and the external donor. So to keep our sovereignty alive and independent, we will have to get rid of this. Nuclear standoff with India, border issues with Afghanistan. Now, India is also a nuclear power and Pakistan has the same capability. it has created some of the tension, because the Indians think that they are superior as they are the bigger economy, yet it is their misperception, and now the Pakistan is standing on the same footing by declaring its nuclear. However, this has created some of the tension, and the other tension between our western neighbor is with Afghanistan. It has been our very safe borders over the years, but since Twin Tower attack, when the US invaded the Afghanistan, our you can say the wrong policies adopted by the then military ruler Pervez Musharraf put Pakistan into a very critical situation, and our most peaceful border is now is presenting the scene of a war between the Pakistan and the Afghan. Terrorism and religious ethnic conflict. This is also our political, or you can say the problem. Musharraf, weary of confronting militants in Fatah, he tried to control this terrorism in Fatah with the military power. No doubt the state power should be used whenever it is necessary, yet it should be noted that why there is a need of the use of the state of the power. So it was the Musharraf policies that led Pakistan into the conflicts with the Fatah and in the NWFP. General Ishfaq Parvez Khan, if you look at, here is a snapshot of the militants in Fatah. Now you can listen that there are drone attacks. Definitely it creates some of the resentments in the local areas. Fatah is also the part of the Pakistan. So when the United States drones strike this, the people think that they are the part of the Pakistan, and then they will start fighting against the Pakistani security agencies, thinking that these agencies are on the helping hand of the United States. Kiani knew how important victory was to ease tension with the US, and with US aid must prove to Pakistan people that in Pakistan war, not America. So the Kiani, General Ishfaq Parvez Kiani, has a good faith in the democracy. He tried its best to solve these problems. After the political maladies of the Pakistan, a new topic starts, and we are going to discuss one or two more topics before wrapping up the whole course. And now we are talking about the audit and accounting in government. So being a government servant or the public administrator, we should know some of the financial transaction mechanism, so that if we are given any of the responsibility, we could perform it in a more appropriate way. So what is the audit? You have listened this word, audit, audit and accounts, audit and accounting, auditor general. So we will have a brief and bird eye view on this, and then we will conclude this lecture. Audit is performed on behalf of the legislature to ensure public accountability. The audit, it is done by the civil bureaucracy. It is performed on the behalf of the legislature. That what the legislature has written in the legislation, is it truly followed in letter and spirit? And definitely it is being adopted by the, you can say, the executive. And the other definition for this is that the correctness of the transaction, that there are many transactions on daily basis, and they are all the part of the routine business of the government. So how these financial transactions are carried out, are they correct? Correct means it not in numbers, but correct means that is all the formalities have been completed to before taking this transaction. The system of audit and accounts is not our independent system. We have borrowed this system from the British India. And if you see that the Audit and Accounts Order 1936, we will see that our audit and account system is based on, or you can say borrowed from, the British Audit and Accounts Order 1936. So many of our legacies many of our orders or the constitutions are we have borrowed these from the British India. They ruled this area, British India, over almost 100 years, and they gave some very sophisticated acts and the constitution, and we are following this. Auditor General is the head of this audit team, and it is directly appointed by the President. We will have a look of this, that what are its duties and how he performs and what are his functions and how he performs his duties with the help of other civil bureaucracy. Audit and Accounts Order of 1973 of the Pakistan Constitution. No doubt we have borrowed from the 1936 Audit and Account, yet we have our own Audit and Accounts Order of 1973. It is the part of the 1973 Constitution of Pakistan. Time and again I used to say that this is the more comprehensive documents. So like budget, as the budget is covered from Article 80 to 85, it is also the audit and accounts. This is equally important because it ensures the transparent functioning of the financial transaction. It is mostly similar to that of 1936, so I can say that it is copied, or in other words, I can say that its major proportion is taken from the 1936 British India Act of Audit and Account. Auditor General of Pakistan is appointed by the President. It is a very, very key post, and its functioning is, we are just going to discuss this. The President, that is the constitutional head of the state, he has the power to appoint this Auditor General. However, it should be remembered that this is being done on the advice of the Prime Minister, and the President has only the ceremonial power to sign it off. Functions of the Audit Department. What are the? To conduct the audit of sanctions issued by financial authorities. All the sanctions issued by, this will say that the first work or the duty of the audit is that to conduct the audit of, to see that the sanctions that are issued by the financial authorities, they are according to the law. For example, if you are sitting at a financial seat, if you have order for the reimbursement of 1 million rupees, so the Auditor General or the audit officer will see that whether this sanction that you have approved is according to the Constitution or it is against the Constitution. So if it is in favor or against, it is a discussion that is later we will start. To ensure no expenditure is incurred without a specific budgetary provision. When there is a budget, one by one provision is written there, that for example, if for this room budget comes for, I say that the 1 million rupee, this is the easiest example that I can give at this time. For example, I can say the 1 lakh for the camera, 1 lakh for the tubes, 1 lakh for this laptop and the other. All this is now specific objective. So when there is the incursion of these expenditure, the auditor has to see whether the specific amount is has been spent on the specific objective. For example, if there are allocation of 1 lakh for the camera, and the camera has 90,000 have been spent on the camera, 10,000 cannot be spent on another, because this 1 lakh has been specified for the purchase of the camera. The other is work of the auditor to ensure the no rule is violated while spending money. In public entities, or even the private entities, the expenditures are made according to a specific plan. As I said that the legislation clearly lay out the functioning of this. There are in the codes, there are audit and accounts. If you go through the audit and accounts ordinance order, you will come to know that how detailed it is. And before, if you have the key post of any of the institution and you have some of the financial matters, you should go through these documents. It will help you a lot to conduct your routine business, and it will avoid you any of the previous complication that when there will be the audit. So if any of the rules is violated, then there is, they'll write the paragraph that is that this rule was violated while spending this money. So even the 1 rupee, these all could be spent according to the provision of the budget. So when there is a budget provision, when the Ministry of the Education send budget to the colleges, there is clearly written for this budget, such proportion of budget is for this purpose, and for this person. So the audit officer just ensures, he never says that whether you did this or not, he just shows that each and everything is according to the rules and regulation and no rules have been violated. Accountability for all public expenditure is sought to be ensured by Auditor General. So as the Auditor General is the head of the department, so he ensures that all the public expenditures have been incurred according to the rules and regulation. So it is its simple duty. Every year it is must for all the public institution to have its audits. There are the audit officer. What are the ground realities? Just ignoring, and you are well aware of the ground realities, that in situation just giving you the money, again you can say the reference of the corruption, that if you have done each and everything according to the rules and regulation, the audit officer even not let you go through, and you will have to pay some bribe for this. And if you have gone through each and every, you have violated each and every rule of the constitution or the budget allocation, and you bribe those audit officer, you are not objectionable. They will write that each and everything is correct. So ignoring that what are the ground realities, we still are looking at the functions, that the accountability for all public expenditure के कहाँ से लिए गए, कहाँ जो है वो खर्च किए गए, is sought by the and ensured by the Auditor General. Public Accounts Committee, the PAC, Public Account Committee. Pakistan has borrowed system from Great Britain. Again, this Public Account Committee. This is something different from the Auditor General. This is based on some of the representative, but the Auditor General is a pure civil servant. What is approved by legislature, adhered by the executive. जो भी legislator approve करती है, the executive should be 100% adhered to it. For example, if the minister, there is a budget of 100 rupees and the legislature has given 20 rupees for the education, the executive should not make any of the reshuffle, that the 25 rupees for the education or 15 rupees for the education. It should be avoided, and it should be followed what is approved by the legislature. It looks into annual appropriation accounts. We will discuss this, what is the appropriation accounts. There are different kinds of financial accounts, annual accounts, monthly accounts, and one is there the appropriation accounts. So it looks into annual appropriation accounts. It means the audit, this is a clue from here that the audit is being carried out on the annual basis, and it sees the whether the accounts have been maintained according to the rules and regulation provided by the legislation. It looks into report presented by the Attorney General. The Public Account Committees at the end of the year for each institution or the ministry, Public Account Committee go through a report that is presented by the Attorney General, and they see that is it everything according to the constitution, and if they are convinced, then this is well and good, and if they are not convinced for this, It is simply to say that they have to, they can ask for the explanation of the Attorney General, and he or the concerned ministry is bound to provide any of the justification for this. Attorney General, now AG Attorney General, Auditor General forwards report to President in federal and governors to provinces. If you remember the just 5 or 10 minutes before discussion that I explained that the Auditor General is being appointed by the President. So the Auditor General, that is the highest level of this, he presents all the reports to the Presidents, and if there is, he is in the province, he will be presenting this to the governor, that is the constitutional head in the province. So this is the simply just bifurcation that he just presents, to whom he presents. The Auditor General presents in federal to the President and in the province to the governors. They are also, the governors are what? Governors are the non-representative figures that are appointed by the federal government or the President, and they represent the Federation. These reports are referred to Public Account Committee in the each legislature. Whenever there is the completion of these reports, they are further sent to forward to the Public Accounts Committees. In each legislature means on each legislature year or any time the Attorney General can send to President, and President can send it to the Public Accounts Committee. So the Public Accounts Committee, you can say, is the last authority, although it is not, we can say that it has some specific structure. However, according to the Constitution, they have the right to go through all the transaction made in any of the department. And Auditor General, definitely he is a government servant. Every year he gives some of the reports, and the Public Accounts Committee goes through these reports. So the discussion about the Public Accounts Committee continues. Any deviation detected are required to be explained by the concerned head. If Public Account Committee finds that these public expenditure in any of the ministry, in any of the division, in any of the department are not incurred according to the rules and regulation provided by the documents, Constitution or any code of conduct, they can call the concerned head, and interestingly the concerned head is bound to explain the justification of that the spending of that money. Without any of the justification, he cannot be allowed to go free. If he provides a reasonable justification that can convince the Public Account Committee, then the work is okay. Otherwise he will have to face some of the consequences. A most impersonal method is employed in this way. The Public Accounts Committee may have some of the personal consideration. However, it is hoped, and it is the spirit of the Public Accounts Committee's code of conduct, that the most impersonal methodology is used. The more impersonal methodology is, the most transparent the system is, or we can say the most transparent this process goes further. And if there is the impersonalization, any of the head of the institution, they will never feel that there was the discrimination with them. They will happily accept it, and they will be explaining that what it happened. PAC or the Public Account Committees, if convinced, can order for recovery. For example, the institutional head is unable to provide the justification for this. So what happens? The Public Accounts Committee has the power to have the recovery from the head, because he is responsible for all the financial transaction, and he has to know that what is according to the Constitution. Constitution means now the code of conduct of the respective department or the respective legislature. In Pakistan, it is a good practice now that what is this? Good practice to appoint opposition leader as head of Public Account Committee. So we have seen over the years that the opposition, in the previously this was not the custom or ritual, that the opposition leader was the head of the Public Accounts Committee. But in recent years we have seen that the democracy is getting roots, and there has been the example when the opposition leader was appointed at the Public Accounts Committee. So as the opposition leader is the head of the Public Accounts Committee, it means the government surrenders and there will be transparent audit for all the expenditure carried out. That was about something. The auditing is just a process to ensure, simplest way, to ensure that all the expenditure are incurred according to the code of conduct or rules and regulation or rule of the business. If so, and what is this duty? It is the duty of the Attorney General to present a report to the President that further discuss it with the Public Accounts Committee. In Pakistan, it is to the responsibility of Attorney General. So at the end, if we see that there is the, you can say, the audit and accounts. Whenever we listen, we see that that person is the head of the audit and account. In Pakistan, it is against the responsibility of the Attorney General to have the accounting system of the different ministries and the institution. He prepares the accounts of all agencies with a few exceptions. It is the function, or it is the duty, or it is the obligation of the Attorney General that he completes, he prepares the accounts or the balance sheet of all the agencies with the exception. In Pakistan, exception is not a new word. You know what is the exceptions to which I am referring. You know these are the powerful segment of the Pakistan bureaucracy. It is under the control of the Federation. Audits and accounts, these are under the control of the Federation. Secretary of each ministry is the principal account officer. So the Auditor General is at the top, and now as you know, the administrative head of each ministry is the secretary. So secretary of each ministry is the principal account officer. It means it is now the duty of each secretary, that is now not only the administrative head of the ministry, but he is also the principal account officer. It is now his duty to maintain the accounts of the concerned ministry. Who maintains the accounts of the concerned ministry? If you are the Secretary of Education, you will have the whole account balancing or account recording of this ministry. So the discussion in context of accounting, it continues. Accounting means, that was just a description of this of the department. And here, what is the accounting? What was the audit? Would you like to tell me? Yes, you are telling what you are telling. Just only making the comparison that the expenditures are being carried out according to the rules and regulation. It is on the behalf of the legislature that the executive follows all the decision in this way. And in literary term, accounting means the art of recording, classifying and summarizing transaction. It has nothing to do with the audit. It is just, you can say, the maintenance of the record. And audit is to check whether this is according to the rules and regulation. So this is now art, very, you can say, the useful part of the audit and accounts, that there is the recording. If you see that what were the expenditure done on in 1960 in education, due to this accounting system, the maintenance of account, there is the recording. The record is available with this. Classifying and summarizing the transaction. Simply it means the keeping a systematic record of financial transaction. As just I explained, that it is the accounting is nothing but is just to keep the accurate or the record of the all the financial transaction. For example, if you go in any of the institution, you will see that they are keeping a well documented record of each and every transaction, because they know that this is the important, and at any time Auditor General can ask for the audit, so it will only be possible when there is the accounting system. The records are available. It never happens that the auditor go into the institution and they are replied that there is no record for this. Record is there, and this is due to the accounting system. Even from very small institution to the largest and the most important institution, there is the total record of this accounting. Again, the system is borrowed from the British India, so it means we could not improve all these laws significantly, because many of the time we see that all our act order are borrowed from the British India. It was enshrined in Article 168 of Government India Act of 1935. So look at the importance of this phenomena, that in 1935 it was passed, and it was enshrined into the Constitution or the Government India Act of 1935 as the clause of the 168. So it means it is very important. And the British that were at time they were the ruler of the this British India, they recognized this important. What this is, it confers on Attorney General. It assigned the duty of the Attorney General to keep the accounts and prepare yearly accounts of Dominion, the Federation and the province. And if you so look at this, that is the yearly accounts. We can't say that this is on the decade basis, and whenever the Attorney General is in the mood of making these accounts. No, it is 100% clear that for each year these accounts are carried out, and the act, that is the 1935 Act, class 168, it bounds the Attorney General to have yearly accounts of not only the institution or the federal government, but also for the provinces. In the provinces there are also the auditor generals. Similar provisions were incorporated in 3 constitution of Pakistan in the Audit and Accounts order. If we see and go through, and I would like to suggest you that you have to go through the different constitution of Pakistan and you should search for the subject of audit and accounts in 1956 constitution, 62 constitution and 1973 constitution. All these similar provisions are there. What are the similar provisions? That they confer, they clearly explain that what are the duties of the Attorney General and what are the functions of the Attorney General. The Attorney General responsibility for the maintenance of account includes. Now we will see that for which function the Attorney General is accountable. Although we have gone through and we have seen that he is responsible for the maintenance of the account of the province or the federal government on all the layers. However, there are some of the specific targets, specific objective or the specific function of the Attorney General. Let's go through this. Monthly accounts. Monthly accounts, what this means, that as there are the disbursement of the salaries, there is the disbursement of the expenditure, it may be on each month or on the monthly basis. So the Attorney General preparation and submission of monthly receipts, not only the preparation but the submission of monthly receipts of expenditure of federal and provincial government. On monthly basis, the federal and the provincial governments make expenditure on procurement, salaries and the many other items. It is the responsibility of the Attorney General to keep a monthly record of all these transactions, and it could be presented to at any time. After this, there is the annual account that are more important, because the Attorney General prepares the report that he sends to the President for the discussion of the Public Accounts Committee. So the annual accounts are more important. Most of the time audit is being carried out once in the year, and it is based on the 1 year performance of the institution. So what is this? The audit and the annual accounts compilation and submission. Not only in the previous, you can also see that here is the preparation and the submission. Submission is necessary, that you cannot restrict yourself on that you are just preparing. You have to submit. If you have even bought this pen, you should have submitted its receipt to the concerned, and it should be attached with the transaction. When there will be audit, they will be looking at the receipt for this or that. अगर आपने अच्छे पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होना है, तो I can guarantee you that you should be well in the financial documentation, because whenever there are huge scams, the people who is responsible for this, even he is honest, he is responsible for this. So whenever signing any of the financial, you should be critical, vigilant, so that there is no malpractices for this. Of the accounts of the receipt and disbursement to the concerned government. हर गवर्नमेंट को जो है ये भेज देता है कि जी ये आपने जो है annual में in this year you have done these expenditure, this was your revenue, and this is done in this way. The third function of the Auditor General is that the appropriation accounts. What are the appropriation accounts? We just have given a slight touch to this to appropriation account. What is this? That everything is being carried out in a proper way. Preparation of these accounts indicating the expenditure incurred by the various departments against the budget allocation. On one side, here is the allocation. I would like to just allocation, and here the this is, for example, the budget expenditure. This is the expenditure allocation, and you can say that this is the item rather than the expenditure. ये हो गया जी कैमरा, allocation 50,000. Here is pen, not only one pen, there are many pens, 10,000, laptops, this and this. So what is the appropriation of the account? They will just see that there have been spent on the camera so many rupees, and there is no reshuffling. Reshuffling can also be made by the prior approval of the competent authority. Yet we just assume that this is the appropriation accounts. They just concentrate on that whether the expenditure are income by various department against the budget allocation. जो budget में कहा गया है उसके जो है वो मुताबिक हुआ. The fourth one function of the Auditor General is the finance account. Compilation of finance account of the federal and financial government. Governments with the federal and the financial government, every year, you know, there is the allocation of the budget. So there are the financial accounts of each government, and the provincial, the federal government and the local government, showing their annual receipt and disbursement under the respective heads. Again, this is similar to the previous one, that in this way these accounts will show the annual functions of any of the government. One side there will be the expenditure, allocation, receipts, everything should be matching. If there is any of the discrepancy, we will come to know that it can create the problem, and if the issue goes to the Public Accounts Committee, if it concludes that this has been not done according to the rules and regulation, it may ask for the recovery for this. So to avoid this, be smart in these matters. Combined finance and revenue accounts. Now there is the compilation of what is this? Preparation and submission to the President. The Auditor General prepares the combined finance and the revenue accounts and he submit all this report to the president. Combined finance and revenue accounts incorporating a summary of the federal and provincial accounts including their balance and outstanding liability. In other words, if I am too technical, I can say that this is the balance sheet, because it gives the detailed of the summary of the federal as well as the provincial accounts including their balances and outstanding liabilities. At one side there are the expenditure, and on the other side there are the some of the liabilities. After this, we may start the revenue and tax administration in Pakistan. I will just give you here a just sketch of this, and then I will go present the summary of this lecture to conclude this. Revenue and tax administration in Pakistan. You know, you listened about the budget, and there is the tax and the expenditure. So how to collect? Who collects the tax? Now we should go through this mechanism, that how these taxes are collected, what is their revenue department, what are its problems, what are its functions, and what are its responsibilities, and how it controls and it follows the directions of the legislature whenever there is the necessity. What is the function? The levy and collection of federal taxes are the function of the FBR. The previously it was CBR, the Central Board of Revenue. From 2007 onward, it is the Federal Board of Revenue. So what is its Federal Board of Revenue? So what is its function? Its function is simple. It levies the tax and then ensures the collection of the tax. For example, it levies the tax and it estimates that this year the tax collection will be 925 billion rupees. So the collection mechanism also lies with the FBR, Federal Board of Revenue. It has a lot of machinery that is spread all over the countries, and they ensure that there is the minimum tax evasion and the maximum tax is collected, because all the countries have to run their business, all the government have to run their business, and without money no government can run its business. And from where this money comes, the major and the significant part of this money comes from the taxes. What is the structure of the FBR? It has a very long history. If we go into the history of this, I will be just giving you the up to here, and we will go for the next about this. I am just giving you a snapshot of this. It has a very long history. It was created in 1924 by the CBR Act 1924. All the legacies are from the British. So we can say that on our current, all the constitution, all the this public administration mechanism is based and borrowed from the British. They first introduced, and then we followed it over time. In it means it was the base was the 19 and the CBR Act 1925. In 1924, the 3 years before the partition, a full-fledged division was created under the Ministry of the Finance. So British, as they were very strict in collection of the revenue, so they created a full-fledged department or division under the Ministry of the Finance. These arrangements continued up to 1960. This system, that was the full-fledged division, this system continued till the 1960. The further there were some of the changes. We will go through this change. I would like to wrap up this lecture right now, and the FBR, Federal Board of Revenue, that is very important, interesting and critical discussion. It will continue in the next lecture. So do you remember from where we started? Yes, I remember, you do remember, that we started from the political maladies of the Pakistan that are a major hurdle and hustle in the way of the development. We talked about, and if we go into the journal, we say that there are the ethno-national problems. There is this nation is not unite on different fronts, and many others. For this, there are the political hassles that are in the way of the development. Then we started a new discussion, that was the audit and accounts. These are the critical portion of the functioning of the system, because if there are no audit and accounts, there will be no transparency. So what is the audit? Simply speaking, audit ensure that each and everything is being carried according to the legislation. Now there are the financial transaction, and if an audit officer approaches in any of the institution, he has to just see that these expenditure are incurred according to the allocations. So the Auditor General is the head of this department. He is directly appointed by the President, and he presents its annual reports to the presidents that are also discussed in the Public Accounts Committee, that is based on the representative of the people. And if the Public Accounts Committee thinks that there is some of the deviation, that the expenditures are incurred without according to the law, they may ask for the recovery. For example, if I am the head of any of the institute and I have spent 2 million rupees that were not allocated, even with my true and honest opinion, the Public Accounts Committee, if deemed suitable, they may ask me that there should be recovery of 2 million rupees because these are not according to the constitution or the rules and regulation. Then we have a snapshot of the auditing and the accounting. Accounting, what is just to keep the full-fledged record of each and every transaction with receipts. So in all the institutions there is the accounting system, and it is the more powerful accounting system, the more easy it is to defend this situation. After this accountant, we started a new topic, that is the FBR, Federal Board of Revenue, that how our taxes are collected. Every time, you know, the budget is just the expenditure and the revenue mechanism. On the revenue side, the taxes are the significant proportion of these revenues. How these taxes are collected, which institution collects these taxes, what are the jurisdiction of this, what are the function, duties, obligation of this institution and to collect tax. It is more important from my view of point, because over the years our tax targets have not been achieved. So we will have a look at this, that why these have not achieved. This has led us to more borrowing, more printing of money, and more dependent upon the aids. So take care. Thank you very much.